In these films, we take time to sit with the artwork, resting comfortably in a chair, allowing body and mind to settle and relax into the painting. We absorb first impressions, colour, relationships, themes and content, and engage with the artist's technique and skill that guide us into contemplation of the piece. We notice how we feel, building a more sensory relationship with the art piece. We can imagine ourselves into the painting. The dancers take the qualities and dynamics of the painting, heightened by the music, and find ways to express the impressions the paintings have inspired. The museum is a beautiful and inspiring space to dance in, an intimate stage shared with great works of art. Uniquely, individual responses are built into shared dances and deepen the enjoyment and understanding of the humanity of art. Confident in their power and influence, Venetians were celebrating a lust for life, ideals of beauty and grandeur, and a new aesthetic of sumptuousness. Let us begin with Titian's Venus and Cupid with a lute player, painted, it is thought, in the decade of 1555 to 1565. Venus, classically coiffured and richly bejewelled, lounges artfully on sumptuous silk. A breath of gossamer material nestles chastely in her lap. Leaning in attentively, a young man, fully dressed, richly attired, his arms aloft, plays the lute. He gazes at Venus, who appears distracted, dreamy. Only her parted lips indicate that she might be aware of his ardent attention. This Venus is in the body of an older woman, a body that holds the weight of time. We could be sat in the front row watching a play or a concert. Our view is so close to the couple. We are poised in sensory engagement, our ears opening to delicate ethereal music, or perhaps some melancholic blues, our eyes drawn to the lustrous colours. We are also very aware of the sense of touch, manifested through fingers, toes, flesh. We begin to imagine who this suitor might be, what the courtship might be about. We lift our eyes to a landscape of impressionist and poetic wilderness, theatrically poised behind the dramatic curtains, billowing clouds, flowing woods, and climbing mountains. Titian's use of pigments was very pure. His groundbreaking use of bold, brilliant colours, his striking and powerful composition, and his loose, revolutionary brushwork inspired generations of artists. Undisturbed by encroaching weather, our Venus and her musician appear almost cozy. Certainly they are intimate, making music together. We might wonder, who is playing whom? Let us wing our way over to our second Venus, painted by Palma Vecchio in 1522 to 1524. We are drawn in by the heavenly blues, the distant mountains and the classical harmonious city. An unseen sun lights up the blowsy clouds hovering in the sky, creating a golden palette of colour reflected in the warm browns and golds of the city buildings. Our eyes move into the verdant and fertile greens, delineating formal fields and undulating river, and closer still, into this wild grove in which Venus reposes. She rests comfortably on pink silk, a colour which deepens into darkest reds in the enclosing rocky cliff. The colours of the landscape are echoed in Cupid's young wings. Again, we are invited in close to this intimate moment. We might imagine ourselves cross-legged, resting on the emerald green grass, the wild flowers tickling our bare feet. Both Venus and Cupid are naked, numinous, glowing flesh. Venus reposes in a youthful, soft body. Our attention is drawn to the exchanged and held gaze between the two characters. They are absorbed in communicating a moment of gravitas. As she catches the arrow, her fingers delicately nimble, we might imagine Venus is giving young Cupid his first lessons in the games of love. 16th century Venice was replete with influential courtesans, women of great power and wealth. Successful courtesans could enjoy a luxurious life. They often moved in influential circles comprising of artists, poets, politicians, and the philosophers of the day. Many of the Venuses painted during the Venetian Renaissance were portraits of powerful courtesans. We finish with a painting by Veronese, Hermes, Heres, and Aglaris, painted in 1576. The messenger of the gods, Hermes, has become infatuated with Herse, an Athenian princess. When he comes to seduce her, Herse's sister Aglaris is afflicted by the goddess Athena with a fit of jealousy and tries to prevent Hermes entering the chamber. With one touch of his wand, Hermes transforms her into black stone. Our attention is captured by the theatricality of three people locked into dramatic poses. Robes and material ripple about them, at once revealing and concealing body parts. Classical architecture solidly frames the muscular, fleshy, and uncomfortably twisted bodies. From the stiffness of her gaze and the aloofness of her pose, we might question Herse's apprehension. Moreover, she has been portrayed with one uncovered breast. A golden satyr squats solidly, with its female breasts and goat's legs, a symbol at the time of female lust. A pink curtain, half hiding, half exposing the satyr, glides down through the center of the painting. Another dance is uncovered here between the satyr and a chaste, clothed statue, turning herself away from the scene. What are Herse's true desires? Veronese was deeply inspired by Ovid's Metamorphoses, the hugely influential source of classical mythology. Ovid dealt in his way with the trauma of women constantly coveted, seized, and destroyed by the rapacious appetites of the gods. In these tales, women are often transformed into animals, rocks, trees, conveniently silencing their voices. Jealousy, anger, seduction, punishment, virtue, and lust. The painters have swept us intimately into the legendary female characters, captured as they navigate their fate. We can admire these women portrayed here in their still fresh and beautiful landscapes. We might give these women their own voices and imagine what, stepping out of their frames and moments in history, they might say to us. Their bodies revealing much more than just bare flesh, realizing that each of them has been carefully positioned in stories imbued with symbolism and meaning.